Creative Mind and Success. By Ernest Holmes. Man's place in creation. But where does man come in? He is. Therefore it follows that he, too, is made out of God, since God, or Spirit, is all. Being made out of God, we must partake of his nature, for we are made in his image. Man is a center of God, in God. Whatever God is, in the universal, man must be in the individual world. The difference between God and man is one of degree, and not of quality. Man is not self-made, he is made out of God. The question might arise, why did God do this? No living person can answer this question. This is something that is known only of the Father. We might suppose that God made man to live with him, and to enjoy with him, to be one with the Father. It is true, indeed, that those who have felt this most deeply, have had a corresponding spiritual power that leads us to suppose that God really did make man as a companion. Man is the individual and God is the universal. For as the Father has life in himself, so has he given to the Son to have life in himself. Man's mind is made out of God's mind, and all that man is, or ever will be, all that he has, or ever will have, must partake of the divine nature. Man did not make it so, but it is so, and he must accept the fact, and see what he can do with it. If he has the same power in his individual life that God has in the universal, then this discovery will mean freedom from all bondage, when he learns how to use his power. As God governs his universal world, so will man govern his individual world, always subject to the greater law and life. This could not be otherwise, if we realize what follows from it, for so realizing, we find ourselves living in a very different world from the one in which we thought we were living. God governs not through physical law as result, but first by inner knowing, then the physical follows. In the same way, man governs his world by the process which we will call, for want of a better name, the power of his thought. Man's inner life is one with the Father. There can be no separation, for the self-evident reason, that there is nothing to separate him from God, because there is nothing but life. The separation of two things implies putting a different element between them, but as there is nothing different from God, the unity of God and man is firmly established forever. My Father and I are one is a simple statement of a great soul who perceived life as it really is and not from the mere standpoint of outer conditions. Taking as the starting point that man has the same life as God, it follows that he uses the same creative process. Everything is one, comes from the same source and returns again to it. The things which are seen are not made of the things which do appear. What we see, comes from what we do not see. This is the explanation of the whole visible universe, and is the only possible explanation. As God's thought makes worlds and peoples them with all living things, so does our thought make our world and peoples it with all the experiences we have had. By the activity of our thought things come into our life, and we are limited because we have not known the truth. We have thought that outside things controlled us, when all the time we have had that within which could have changed everything and given us freedom from bondage. The question, then, naturally arises, why did God create man, and make him a free agent? If God had created us in such a way as to compel us to do, or to be anything that was not of our choosing, we should not have been individuals at all, we should be automatons. Since we know that we are individuals, we know that God made us, thus, and we are just discovering the reason why. Let any man wake up to this, the greatest truth in all ages, and he will find it will answer all questions. He will be satisfied that things are what they are. He will perceive that he may use his own God-given power so to work, to think, and to live, that he will in no way hinder the greater law from operating through him. According to the clearness of his perception, and the greatness of his realization of this power, will he provide within himself a starting point through which God may operate. There will no longer be a sense of separation, but in its place will come that divine assurance that he is one with God, and thus will he find his freedom from all suffering, whether it be of body, mind or estate.